Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Cyrus, the go-to-market lead at Loyee AI. Hello,
Hi, Christian. Thanks for having me on.
thank you for joining us on the podcast. Please tell us what is Loyee AI.
Absolutely. High level Loyee is a tool that tries to help sales teams become a lot more targeted with their outbound. I think a trend we've been noticing a lot, companies are just really struggling when it comes to outbounding these days. And, the reason is the old school method of mass emails, sequencing, it's not really working. So now it's really important that, you need to go for that quality over quantity. But to do that, it takes sales reps weeks to go through every single account they could have, to really do that research to create a business case and understand who is a good account versus who is an account I shouldn't waste my time on. So what Loyee does is we take the qualities of what makes your perfect buyer. Say that might be something around a new fundraise, a recent hire, you're looking for certain positions. We automate all that research and we tell your sales team, here's the leads you should focus on. Here's the exact reasons why they're a good lead. So they can be a lot more relevant at scale.
That's awesome. What did you say are the most common challenges faced by salespeople nowadays?
I think there's a couple big ones. I'd say top of funnel is the biggest challenge everyone's facing. And, what's on everyone's mind is just building quality pipeline. And with quality pipeline, I'd say the biggest challenge is really finding the right way to get your foot through the door. I think the past few years, there was the trend of personalization, which helped a lot. But
Yes,
now, I even see personalization changing. And it's not the classic, I read your blog or I saw your LinkedIn post, but it has to be very relevant towards, I know you have this problem. We should talk. So I think a big challenge is catching the people at the right time, the right moment with the right messaging.
yeah,
Another
yeah.
challenge as well, I just say is, with the state of the recent economy and how it's been, it's a tough time for sellers because a lot of companies are looking to cut their tech stacks. They're looking to consolidate their tools. So they really need to be solving a true pain. They need to be differentiating from, other competitors they have, and they have to have a really strong value proposition on it's a tough market. This is why you should bring us in.
Right. Um, what is the solution that Loyee brings to the table? How is it a partner for salespeople?
Great question. Where Loyee comes in is to really free up a lot of that time and help the salespeople be a lot more data driven. So our product really has two parts to it. One part is for the sales reps themselves and for the teams. That research you're doing manually, which right now it's a combination of you have your intent tools, you have your manual research going to websites, going into job descriptions that you do. We automate that process. So rather than spending weeks on a leads list, you know who to go after. You know the information you need to personalize in a matter of minutes, which just saves a lot of time for them and makes sure the effort's on the right side. But then the second part of the tool, which we're launching, is we've also noticed a lot of companies, whether it's releasing a new product, going into a new vertical, relooking how they're going about their outbound. When it comes to what should be researching, what
Mm-hmm.
a perfect lead, ICP looks like, it's still a bit old school. It's a lot of quarter end reviews, gut feelings. Now what we've developed is these models that connect to your CRM and they're analyzing your deal flow. So they're going to be looking at what's winning, what's losing, what's qualifying, what's not qualifying. So at any given time, to the smallest detail, you'll be able to know here are exactly the qualities of a company that I know has my problem. Here's where I'm winning right now. So you can make sure you're always focusing on what actually matters.
This is amazing. How does the tool work basically? What's the I don't know how does it work to
Uh,
bring you all these insights?
Absolutely. On the first level, which the reps use themselves for the research, is, think of it as like a chat GBT. You upload all your leads into the platform. So most of our
Mm-hmm.
customers, they'll work with tools like SalesNav, Apollo, Lucia, Crunchbase, and they get these big lists of everyone they
Yes.
can reach out to. Now they come to us to break it down. So they upload all these leads and then they set different trigger qualities of what a perfect lead looks like. And the way to think about that is, if you were going to use the tool, imagine you're hiring me as an SDR and I don't know anything about sales. So I'm coming to
Yes.
you and I'm asking you, when I'm manually researching these accounts, what is it that I'm looking for? So for example, some of our customers, we have some people in the compliance space. So they're looking for companies that have SOC 1 but not SOC 2. They're looking for companies that are hiring for compliance analysts. They're looking for companies that are hiring infosec leaders. And this
Right.
lets them know this is a perfect opportunity. So you put that into the platform. You set your priorities and you just press done. So what's happening is rather than you manually researching, we go to the web, we go to their websites, their career pages, job postings, different databases. We collect all that information and we feed the list back to the reps with all their leads prioritized, but then enriched as well. So then it
Wow.
won't just tell me, hey, you should go after Tekpon, it's a good lead. It'll say, hey, you should try to sell to Tekpon because Tekpon is actually hiring for an InfoSec analyst right now to do X, Y, and Z. So now as a sales team, when I reach out, I can message you and say, hey, Christian, I know you're hiring for this. I know they're going to do this, this, and this. Well, we should talk because our tool actually does all three of those things.
Have you thought of integrating with these sales tools like Apollo, Lucia, ZoomInfo in the future?
Yeah, so we already do have a good amount of integrations. We right now have native integrations with HubSpot and Salesforce. We integrate with Outreach, SalesLoft, Gong. But I do really want to build up the integration side. I think a big trend we're seeing, especially within sales teams, is they're trying to consolidate their tech stack. So what's going to make the difference between winning or losing a deal in many cases is, are you a new tool that doesn't sit in my workflow that I have to learn a new process for? Or can you integrate directly within my tech stack and stay in my equal flow?
Right. How do you price the tool?
Yeah, we've kept the pricing pretty simple. At the moment, it's $199 per user per month. And that's for a set number of queries. Queries are those different insights you can check for every lead.
Mm-hmm.
Based on that, if it goes above a certain amount, we can either go into a usage based model beyond that if we have a little more usage, or just traditionally another license.
Okay. How do you see the future of the go-to-market space, especially now with AI? What's changed?
That's a great question. I think, I think a lot has changed. And I think we were having a discussion at a roundtable the other day, and there's this constant worry, especially if you look at the SDR sides, where people are scared of AI sometimes, and there's this narrative of, is AI going to take my job? The AI SDR. I disagree with that. I don't think we're there. I don't think we'll be there anytime soon. What I do see with that is AI is not going to replace your job. Someone who knows how to use AI is going to replace someone who does it. And I think what AI is given to sales teams is just the ability to be so much more efficient, so much more knowledgeable, and have a huge grasp of knowledge a lot quicker and a lot easier than they used to, which will make the sales process easier. Now, within that, whether it's the different types of intent tools that are collecting data you need, whether it's tools like ours that are giving you this research aspect, whether it's amazing tools like Gong who are analyzing your calls and trying to make you the best seller. I personally see two main narratives on that. I think the sellers who learn to leverage AI in the best way are going to be the ones who really take off and are able to close a lot more deals than even before. But they have to be careful not to get too over leveraged on AI, so they can't rely on the tools for everything without losing the basic skills. Another thing I've noticed as well, and I've had conversations with a couple of people at roundtables, other sales leaders. It's funny. It's a big counterintuitive. I think the more AI is making work automated and advanced, the old school idea of actual building a relationship sales and the human aspect is becoming more and more important. And whether it's, you want to make a mistake on a call, you don't want every email to sound robotic and perfect. And I think that
Yes.
aspect of it is becoming even stronger.
What would you recommend to somebody just getting started into the space? Let's say starting SDR.
Great question. I think the truth about sales, and it's, you have a couple different levels, I think, but I think to really start, you just have to do it. It's really a numbers game. It's about multiple things that could set you up for success. Number one is just rolling up your sleeves and doing it. Whether as an SDR, it's sending out the emails, it's creating a brand on LinkedIn, it's making those calls, it's trying to see what works. You just have to push through it and really get the thick skin and get used to it. Two, I think, a great thing I'm seeing on LinkedIn, or there's a huge trend on social selling now. A lot of thought leadership has come up. There's a lot of
Yes.
resources out there where you can really use to upskill yourself. I think a big thing for sales to remember, you're never perfect. You always have to be learning. Right? And if you get comfortable and stop learning, you're going to fall behind. Whether it's different creators, whether it's different books, whether it's tools like Hyperbound, for example, which is a new startup that came out, you can literally try to test your different cold calls. I think those
Okay.
things are great. And I think what helped me a lot in sales when I first started my journey, and I recommend to whoever can do it, is finding a sparring partner and a mentor that you can really learn from. So when I took my first sales role, I had a partner a little bit above me. He was the best seller in the company, and I just annoyed the hell out of him. I sat next to him every day, listened to his calls. I made him do practice pitches with me. I made him sit in on my calls. And creating that feedback loop and constantly learning is the best advice I could give.
Amazing, amazing. What is your story? How did you start your career, basically, in sales?
Yeah, completely by accident, actually, I think, as most people do. So I went to university in Los Angeles, studied a weird combination. I did one degree in mathematics, another one in English, and then I went to a startup after that, which is more commercial real estate. I was a traditional analyst role, and I really fell in love with startups. But I wanted to go to an earlier stage startup after that. And at the time, I wanted to return to Europe. I had gone to boarding school in London. I wanted to return to London as well. And I met the founders of a startup called GetGround. In the prop tech space, amazing startup, amazing team, Series A. And that was for a sales role. It was for a senior AE role. Never really thought I would do sales. To be honest, never really thought I'd be good at sales. But I was like, the startup has the team I need. It's early. I'm young enough where I can try something new. Let's do that. And I fell into it and I loved it, and I was quite good at sales. I found a great mentor, Connor, as well, and we grew together. And since then, my journey on the go-to-market side started, from first direct sales to then I was running their partnerships and in charge of getting their new partnerships. But then how I ended up at Loyee as well, I think a big dream of mine has always been to be a founder. And even at the Series A stage, it was earlier than my last startup and it was exciting, but it was a Series A company. I really
Yes.
craved finding something early and help build it from the ground up. So then I was just looking around at options and I connected with my current founders, Jesse, Amadea, and Mike. This is about a year ago now, where they had just come up with really the product and idea. They were looking to bring on their first person, pre-seed company. So I moved to Germany with them and kind of joined them, helping them build it. And over time, I've grown to now lead their go-to-market.
It's an amazing story. I should have mentioned in the beginning that you're a co-founder or founding team or however you want to call it.
I think, yeah,
Right?
founding team, one of the first ones
Yeah.
in helping them build it.
Do you have any advice for somebody that's looking to recreate this journey to get into early stage startups? How should they find it? How should they choose the winner? Let's say.
Absolutely. I think with startups, it's always a gamble, right? Most startups fail. The one advice I'd say, at least from my side, the biggest thing I look for versus what the company does versus the funding is really the team and the people. And depending on how early you go, going at the pre-seed stage, who are your founders? Who is this founding team? Do you like them? Do you respect them? Do you think you can work well with them? Do you believe in what they're building? Becomes so important, because the reality of it is it's not really a glamorous life, right? Early stage startups, it's a lot of bad and sometimes some good, but it's stressful. It's late nights. You have to break things. And what, in my opinion, really makes or breaks a startup is having that good core team where you're learning from, where you're close enough with, where you trust each other to have those tough conversations, to enjoy the good times, but also in the bad times, you have each other's back. I think that would be a big advice. And then I think one thing that's been pivotal to my success and what I constantly work on, especially with early stage startups, and the earlier you go, you need to be an entrepreneur yourself and you need to be a self-starter. I think when you're in a later stage company in traditional roles, you have your different managers and you know what you have to get done every day.
Yeah.
When you join early, you don't have that. Your days aren't set. There's no, hey, here's the three things I need to get done today. A lot of times it's just about, you need to find what can be better. You need to find what you want to work on and you need to just start and do it. Don't ask questions, just do it, which I think that's advice I'd gotten from my last mentor. And it's something that's made a huge difference in me.
I love that. You put it perfectly. You have to have this self motivation to do stuff and initiative. I love that. How about the go to market strategies for Loyee? I saw you do a lot of in person events. Tell us more about
Yeah, absolutely. I think,
your own.
yeah, we started Loyee, when we started Loyee, it was actually a different product when I joined. It was more a Slack bot helping productivity. and then we pivoted to where we are now. So in a lot of sense, and we've released the product quite recently. So in a lot of sense, it's been almost like building the go-to-market from scratch. And so a couple different ways we're doing that. I think traditionally we do rely ourselves on outbound as well. So when I joined, it was fully founder-led sales. A lot of intros, a lot of outreach to LinkedIn. Now we're trying to transition that away to a combination of founder-led sales with sales leader assisted. Where me and Jesse, a lot of times it's whether it's through LinkedIn, through Slack, through email, calls. All our main two channels of outbound have been mainly LinkedIn and Slack, and we're trying to take a very personalized approach. So really build up relationships there. I think other things we've done is one, conferences have been a big tool for us as well. So we went to SaaS Talk. Thank you for that, Christian. We went to SaaS to Europe, we went to SaaS to US last year. Dreamforce conferences are a big one. But I think one big aspect, and you mentioned the events we're working on now, is trying to build up the marketing side of it as well. And really early on, trying to build up a brand. I think, at least my notice is in this current landscape, brand is really helping elevate sales. You obviously want inbound, it helps build a bit of trust. So a lot of exciting things coming. But as you mentioned, we've been hosting a lot of events. So now in New York, we host a monthly roundtable for go-to-market leaders. Other things we'll be starting is more events. We're hoping to start our own webinar podcast series to show other people their tools. So I'd love to have you on one day when we start that. You're the expert here, Christian. We're going to be starting our blog. We're going to be starting different types of mini series. And what I'd say is over the next few months, a lot of focus will be on a combination of the traditional outbound intros events and a lot on the marketing side of really building up the brand.
I love this. I totally believe in these strategies, and these are the strategies for 2024. Not
Absolutely.
this is the new way.
We were talking at a round table the other day as well, and everyone was just saying, you have to be different. You have to just be able to try whether. And some of the stuff they were saying were amazing. We had someone who sent a band to someone's offices and all these different strategies that really sticks in your head. You gotta be out there.
You got to get out of the noise.
Exactly.
Do you have some favorite software that you use apart from Loyee?
Yeah, I think best tool most people use ChatGPT. I love ChatGPT. I think it makes life just a lot easier, a lot quicker. A lot of my manual tasks it automates for me. But then thinking of different tools, there's a lot. I mean, I like a company called SenseSpark, which SenseSpark is a great tool that helps you create personalized videos at scale. Use them a good amount. I use a tool called Salesflow, which was for LinkedIn automation. And kind of a lot of times if you want to run cadences, it would go through there. And it's fun always finding new tools that you can use. I mean, I'm a big HubSpot person. I like HubSpot. I build it up in an organization. Then you have, for example, a company called Clay. They're potentially one of our biggest competitors. Great tool. I love them. I use them as well. I think they're a good tool for prospecting, for building out lists. What about you, Christian? Any favorite tools you have?
Riverside, the one we're recording right now. Calendar, I cannot live without it. I put all
that's
my
a good
tasks
one.
there. Canva for designing everything.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, HubSpot, pitch.com. I have multiple. I'm looking at the tabs. Instantly, I quite like it.
Yeah.
I think it has the best deliverability out there. Apollo for prospecting.
Yeah.
Multiple.
I just started using pitch.com. I always use it was either a mix of Canva or it was a mix of Beautiful AI. It's great, man. I like it. I liked it a lot. I think I'm fully converted over.
Right. We have not left until the end, but I'm curious to know what was your biggest challenges since joining the team?
That's a great question.
Or let's say in general for early stage startups, maybe.
Yeah. I think a couple big challenges always come in the startup scene, especially when you're early. I think the first biggest challenge was really going to 0 to 1 and actually trying to get those first few customers on a complete new product. And where, the top of funnel and sales enablement is a very busy space. There's a lot of players out there and there's a lot of old, great players out there. So a challenge, I think early on is always building up that trust in people where we want to take a chance on this tool. They don't have a brand. We don't know them. They're new. Let's do it. And I think a couple different ways we've done that. I mean, one is just being very clear in how we differentiate from our competitors. So for example, Clay, I mentioned, they're an amazing tool. Where we differ a lot is Clay has a lot more information than us. Amazing tool. It's a bit more complex to use as well. So for people who spend the time to on-ramp on it, it's perfect. For us, our tool is for busier sales teams. It's very quick. I put my information in. Within 2 minutes, I have my value already given to me. So creating those narratives of, really being targeted on who our right persona is, why we're different than our competition, and where our needs fit has been a big one. And I think another just big aspect that has helped that a lot is really building relationships. And I think the approach we've taken in Loyee is we want to be very customer obsessed, but we don't want to be traditional sellers. To the core of what sales should be, we want to be out there actually helping people, being consultative. So a lot of times, whether it's a feature on the roadmap, that a customer really wants, and there's a difference between signing or not, we'll be honest. We'll say, hey, we're going to build that one day. It's not in the next 6 months. If you need that, we're not the tool for you. So recommending others, it's really focusing on building trust in these relationships that I think helps bring the tool in. And I think other things we've done on that side, just more on the traditional go-to-market sense, now working on building a lot of partnerships as well with bigger tools, with established players, so we can build that trust with each other. I think that's a big challenge. I'd say another big challenge for early stage startups, that's specifically on the go-to-market side as well. And we were having this discussion the other day is, how do you spend your time? When you're a team of, right now we're 6 people, when on the go-to-market side, there's really 2, 3 of us. And you have a combination of, I need my first few customers. I need to do this work that doesn't scale, but I just have to get it done. Versus I have my more long-term effects that's going to help me create something scalable and repeatable, my marketing arm, understanding my right messaging, these different campaigns. And I think it's really a struggle on where do I spend my time? It's very limited. How do I know I can put time towards those riskier things that I don't see the value on right away? And I think an advice, we've been given there by people that's helped a lot. And truth is, one, being okay with delayed gratification. I think that's a big one. I think early stage startups, you're not going to see your wins right away. A lot of times it'll seem like everything that's okay in front of you is the losses. You have to be okay doing the right work, not seeing the results, and knowing one day it will come, which helps a lot. And on the other side is running different tests. If I have an idea, I'll try it, I'll test it, I'll take care of the numbers, I'll be data driven, and I'll really understand what works or what doesn't. Because what I've found is very helpful is, let's try everything versus finding what works. Let's find what doesn't work. Let's cut that down until we get to a narrow focus of what does work, and let's double down there.
Right. I totally love your mindset. If you have anything else to share on the podcast, this would be the moment, but I think you already share so much value, and I really enjoyed it.
I would appreciate it as well, Christian. I loved it. Thank you for having me on. Always great catching up with you.
Thank you so much.